Everyone excited for Brazil's first big Vue conference?
Tá fraco, Lula.
Excellent. Should I say? Which is going to be an update on all of the things that are new in the Vue ecosystem that you might want to know about, and also how to contribute. Because a lot of people ask, this is one of the top questions that we get in the Vue team, is how can we contribute to Vue? What can we do to help you make it better? So I'm going to give you some tips on that. Hi, I'm Chris, if you don't know already. This is me. I'm the one on the left in the green shirt, super excited about dinosaurs. I'm a little bit less excited about dinosaurs now. All of my dinosaurs Vue. It's a lot smaller. You might be able to the full excitement. And a lot of people know me for working on the docs. I also do a lot of work for developer tooling and just developer experience in general. Also working on little tools like the migration helper and things like that. And my official title on the Vue team, I believe, is Good Word Putter Together. Because that's what I do. I help put words together. I look over blog posts and I look over docs, and I help with API designs and things like that. In today's agenda, I want to talk about two things in particular. First, things that are now released that you can use right now, and also things that are coming soon, very soon, that you can get excited about. So first, the things that are now released. Vue CLI 3. How many people, and I can't see you, so I'm going to need people to shout out if you've used Vue CLI 3 already. Excellent. So for those huge Webpack template that you had to maintain after you created your project. And I know from the workshop yesterday that there are maybe a few of you who are super excited about maintaining Webpack configurations. But give me a shout if you do not want to maintain Webpack configurations and you just want to build your app. So that's a lot of people. So now with Vue CLI 3, this is your config. You don't have to configure any kind of Webpack. Instead, we're not using templates, we're using a plugin-based system. So your build is a dependency. Using Vue CLI service and plugins like Vue CLI plugin Babel, in order to use Babel in your project, you can get all the recommended settings and dependencies for a Vue project, and you don't have to worry about maintaining it. You don't have to worry about updating it when new versions of Babel come out. And so this is it. You install these two dependencies on a basic project, if that's all you need, just a project with like .vue components and everything, and then you also want to use Babel. And then you run Vue CLI serve, or Vue CLI service serve for your dev environment, and Vue CLI service build to build for production. And that's it. It's so much simpler now. Still very configurable. Inside of a vue.config.js, you can Webpack config if you need to define your own aliases, to define an output directory. It's a little bit different. You want to enable CSS source map Maybe you want to do something really advanced and set up a proxy for the dev server. You have all of these options. And that's not all. It's actually really, really configurable. Using Webpack, you can access any part of your Webpack config and not only merge new things that you want to add, but also modify any part of it. And that includes changing the settings of an existing plugin, or in this case, clearing out the one alias that Vue CLI defines for you by default, and only adding your own if you want to. Project in the Vue CLI docs that you for more about this syntax. So even the people who are super Webpack nerds, and I admit I am one of them, you can configure anything you want on top of getting all of the base stuff for free and not having to maintain that. You also essentially never to escape plugin and then start maintaining your own configuration. I've used Vue CLI 3 on, it might be a couple dozen project. I've always been to configure exactly what I want. And that includes, by the way, there's a plugin system, and you can define your own plugins as well, just like Vue defines its own plugins. And you have the full power that official Vue plugins have. There's also a UI for the CLI. Now, some of you might be thinking, like, this is a CLI, like command line interface. There's a UI in the command line. That's right. You run Vue UI, and in your project, you can get a much nicer visual interface of what's going on in your application. You can run tasks. You can install plugins. You'll be able to soon do things like manage your ESLint configuration, some styles for your team, or the optimum rules in terms of what you want to enforce for your style guide. And thank you very much to Acrium, real name Guillaume on the Vue team, who came up with the idea for the Vue. When we first pitched it, it sounded a little bit weird, probably just like it did to you when you first heard about it. But it and even new things to the UI that are specific to your project or specific to your team. Now, as I mentioned, you can build your own plugins, and there's Vue London, which will be coming up. Divya Sasidaran will be giving a talk that I'm really excited about on Vue CLI plug development. Some there. She's actually built my favorite Vuex plugin. So you can build on top of it. You can even, if there's something that you want to do that is global to all of your projects in your company, you can build a plugin that you can share between all of your projects so that you can add that functionality to all of your applications. But also you can do things like create your own templates or boilerplates on top of Vue CLI. If you also want to bundle in configuration related to the configuration that you want actually checked into the project. So in Vue Enterprise Boilerplate, this is a project that I maintain, where I try to maintain all of the best practices that I learn working with a bunch of different people on all different kinds of projects. including some really weird stuff where I have to do really interesting things, and I get a chance to learn from everyone and what everyone is doing and how they're innovating and improving their dev experience. So this is how I put together the best dev experience I know of at any given time, and this is also what I use to start almost all of my client projects. Something else that's new is ESLint plugin Vue 5 in, and there are some new rules. I unfortunately don't have time to go over all of them, but one of the ones that I'm most excited about is no unused components. So how many people have had a situation like this? And again, I can't see you, so you'll have to shout out when I tell you to in a second. How many people have had a component in their application, and then it turns out they are not actually using it anywhere anymore? Maybe you used to be using it, but the component changed a little bit, and now this component isn't used. But within JavaScript, it still looks like it's used. We're importing it here, and then we're adding it, even though it's not used in the template. So before you couldn't get a warning about this. Now, ESLint plugin Vue version 5 where you've had an unused component that you didn't catch. So you just have a cluttered up components. In a lot of my applications, I found that sometimes there are 3 or 4 components, especially after the app has been around for a while, that I'm not using, that I don't even realize I'm not using. So you can also submit your own rules. If you go to github.com/Vue.JS ESLint plugin Vue, you can see all of the issues here. And you can submit your own issues if you'd like to do something really special, really different. You can also try out the beta at npm, or with npm install ESLint plugin Vue at next. And if you look at the current docs, you'll see information on the rules that aren't yet out. I want to give a big shout out to Michał on the Vue team, who has really put in so much work into these rules and improving our dev experience all the time. We've also made some improvements to news.vue.js.org. So some of you might not have known about this resource before. You can see articles from any past newsletter at news.vue.js.org.
Chris?
And you can actually search through stories that have been included.
Chris?
So for example, if you want to find about testing, you can search for that and find a bunch of articles here.
Chris?
And you can also browse by tag. So let's say you're looking for a tutorial on VuePress. You can go through all of the past archives from the Vue newsletters and find the exact resource that you wanted, that you heard about once and maybe forgot about, or that you haven't discovered yet.
Chris?
Yes?
Sorry to interrupt you, but could you shut off your camera, please? Because we're having some issues with the connection. I think it will improve it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Should I go back at all?
O que vocês acham, pessoal? Não precisa... No, Chris, just keep going.
Just keep going? Okay.
Yeah.
So you can submit a story at news.vue.js.org/submit. And if if it looks like a really great resource, we'll include that in the newsletter. So news.vue.js.org is also a Vue app. And if you're here, you're presumably already building Vue apps or interested in building Vue apps, which means you have the skills to contribute to news.vue.js.org, make it an even better resource. So if you visit the site and you think, oh, there might be one resource that could be even better, or one feature that could be even better, you can go and you can contribute it yourself. And a huge thanks to Shentao, real name Damien Dulish, who has put in so much work into the newsletter and also news.vue.js.org. You may have also not known that news.vue.js.org is also a podcast. So you can listen in about 5-minute spurts, maybe on your way to work, about all the things that are in the newsletter. And that's put on by Greg Pollock, Adam Jar from Vue Mastery. They record that every week. And by the way, actually, while we're talking about podcasts, there's another Vue podcast that you might be interested in called Views on Vue, which is part of the DevChat TV network. And I'm one of the regular panelists, to give myself a little plug. But we interview a lot of really cool guests from all around the Vue community. And I think you might find it interesting if you're interested in Vue. Also, VuePress. This has been out for a little bit now, but some people still don't know about it. It's a docs framework. I know it sounds like VuePress, or it sounds like WordPress, but it's not actually for blogging yet. That is actually one of the planned features. But this is what we're using for a lot of our non-core docs. So for Vue itself, we're not using VuePress yet, although we'd like to migrate to it eventually. But for Vue CLI, for Vuex, for Vue Router, and for a lot of other projects, we're already using VuePress to manage our docs. And surprisingly to us, a lot of other communities, even outside of Vue and outside of JavaScript, have started using VuePress to manage their docs just because they like it so much. And one of the defining features is that it allows you to write Markdown, but inside of that Markdown, you can have Vue components, which is really, really cool, really useful. And this is an example of what the docs might look like. You just write some Markdown files and maybe a JavaScript configuration file, and you get something beautiful like this out of it. And because it's just Markdown, JavaScript, and Vue, so if you're a Vue developer, you can also contribute to VuePress. And if you go to the issues and you look for the tag contribution welcome, these are especially good features to start out on. And I would recommend opening up the issue, letting people know that you'd like to get started on this so that people know you're working on it and no one else tries to build the same feature. Now, coming very soon, these are things that aren't quite out yet, but they're very exciting and they'll be out very soon. First of all is Vue directives inside JSX. So for those who are using JSX, you might be familiar with this. This is the old way, and if you're familiar with React, this is also kind of how you do things in React as well. So you'd have an onKey down attribute, and then if you wanted to prevent default, you'd have to do this here. If you wanted to only have something happen when you press the enter key, you'd have to have something like this. Now the new way is you'll be able to use directives very similar to how it's done in templates. Unfortunately, we can't use things like dots. We have to use underscores instead, simply because of a limitation of JSX. But this can much simplify some of your methods, like save, which really should not know anything about where it's being called from. It shouldn't have to worry about, preventing default. It shouldn't have to worry about the enter key, That's specific to this event right here. So now you can use save in other contexts and not have to worry about passing an event or handling cases where it's not passed an event. I want to give a big shout out to Nick Messing, which is actually his DJ name, and also on the core team for building out so much of our JSX support. Now some DevTools improvements. This is one of the things that I'm most excited about. There's a new routing tab where you can browse through history. So you can go through all of the different routes that you've gone to recently, see where you came from, where you're going to, some information about like redirects and whether it's a named route or not. The routing tab also has a routes page where you can get a list of all of your routes, including ones that are programmatically generated at runtime. And you can see all of the options for those routes in the DevTools as well. Now the performance tab. So if you're dealing with a tricky performance issue in Vue, then you may want to run a benchmark to see like how your application is running and see where you're maybe getting some hiccups in performance and why they're happening. So here you get a little bar. The very top is 60 frames per second. And in some cases, like if 10,000 events are emitted at once, you might get a little bit of a slowdown. Now, 10,000 events is an extreme use case, but sometimes you might find an edge case where this is happening in your app, and you can find that's happening and then fix it. And you can also get more information about these events. The Performance tab also has a component section where you can, again, run another performance benchmark and see which components are taking most of the render time. And even within those components, you can see which parts of the life cycle a lot of that time is being taken up by, which is, again, very, very useful for building high-performance Vue applications. And the last new feature that's really big is editable data in state. We had some options before, but this is even better now. So for example, in this object, you can add a new property, and you can delete properties, you can edit them as you could before, and that's very exciting, and very nice for prototyping too. And actually, last night, Guillaume released Vue.js DevTools 5.0 Beta 1, which you can try out here if you search for Vue DevTools Beta Download, or I think on the Chrome and Firefox extension stores. You might already be able to find it there. The beta, which you'd have to install separately from the normal extension, if you want to try out some of these features before they're quite ready. And huge thanks to Acronym and the Vue Sprint attendees for making a lot of this stuff possible. A lot of what I've talked about today, we actually got done in the Vue Sprint, which happened earlier this month. So I want to talk a little bit about the Vue Sprints. They're 1 week or maybe even just a few days, one place, a bunch of different contributors get together, and there's one focus. So earlier this month, at the beginning of August, we had our very first Vue Sprint ever, where we focused on tooling in particular. And that was in Wrocław, Poland, where a bunch of us, I think it was 7 or 8 Vue team members came together and just built a lot of awesome stuff. A lot of what you see today was only made possible because we were able to take that week to focus on Vue and build all these cool tools. If you'd like, you can support more sprints happening by funding us at opencollective.com/Vue.JS. And if you'd like, you can also support me personally and give me more time to do Vue work at patreon.com/Chris. And this is actually a typo, Chris Vue Fritz. My middle name is not actually Vue. My middle name is Vincent. But for the purposes of the Patreon, it's patreon.com/Chris Vue Fritz. And I want to give a big shout out to John Leider from Vuetify, who's my Vuesionary level sponsor. He's a big part of what makes it possible for me to keep doing Vue work. And that's really it that I have to talk about today. I hope you all have a great day at the conference and, of course, enjoy the Vue.
Hello, Chris.
Hello. Should we do any questions or is it on to the next talk?
Yes, we will. Pessoal, vocês têm alguma pergunta para o grande Chris? Perguntas? No?
I'm sorry, I couldn't catch that. I didn't quite hear that.
We have one question.
Yes, go ahead.
Inglês ou português? We can do time travel debugging with the routing new feature with DevTools?
That is a good question. I actually don't remember the answer to that. But there's one way to find out.
Yeah, we will.
You can download the beta and try it out. Great.
Hi, Chris. I'm Eric, community partner translating Vue.js docs here in Brazil.
Hi.
So, a
Great
big question.
to hear you, if not see you.
A big question. Can we expect Vue.js docs be migrated to VuePress soon or later? Well, VuePress will be our main system for official Vue.js docs.
So is the question, are we going to be using VuePress soon for the official Vue docs?
Yes, in the main official site.
Yes, that is something that is planned.
Okay.
But yeah, one of the things that we do want to make sure that we have a good plan for is that it'll still work really well for all of our translators. We want to maintain that workflow.
Oh, yes, it's very important for us.
Yeah, it's very important for a lot of people around the world. So
Okay.
we definitely don't want to make that harder.
Thank you, Chris.
Oh, thank you. Any more questions?
One more.
Chris, we have one from the online community. They're asking if there's a perspective of making something like React Native, but for Vue.
So we already have a lot of different mobile options within the Vue space. One of my favorite ones personally is NativeScript Vue. And Also, Ionic 4 can be used really with any framework. It's completely framework agnostic. It used to be tied to Angular. So now it can be tied to Vue, and there are even tutorials about how to build Ionic apps with Vue. And we also have Weeks, of course, which is developed by Alibaba. And they're using it for some really, really big mobile apps. And so I feel like we already have a lot of really good mobile options for Vue. I haven't heard from anyone that they tried to build a Vue mobile app and they just couldn't find something that did exactly what they wanted to do.
All right, cool. Okay, Chris, I turned on the camera because even though you're not here, we have a gift for you. I don't know if you can see it.
Aww,
It's
that looks great.
has your name on it.
Wow. Thank you so much.
So next time when you come to Brazil, there's a gift waiting for you. So, you know, huge incentive for coming to Brazil.
Excellent. One more reason. I'm actually really, really sad that I'm not there today. I was really looking forward to it.
Next time you'll definitely be here. Okay,
Yeah,
guys.
definitely.
Yeah, sure. We actually have one more question.
I can't quite hear the question.
I'm going to translate it for you. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Fala para ele que nós, do GDG São José dos Campos, apoiamos o Vue. Bom, nós do GDG São José dos Campos, a gente apoia o Vue, a gente gosta muito. E que gostaria de saber se existe a possibilidade do Vue adotar o TypeScript como padrão.
So, a guy from GDG, São José dos Campos, that's Google Developer Group São José dos Campos. They really like Vue and they support it, but he has a question regarding TypeScript. Is it going to be like official? Do you have plans for official supporting for TypeScript?
So we already do offer some official support for TypeScript. We offer full typings for Vue. Whether you're using TypeScript or JavaScript, you can actually take advantage of that in editors. And also we have an official project called Vue Class Component. And Vue 3 will actually be written in TypeScript. Although this will not mean you have to use TypeScript in order to use it. It will not affect your ability to use JavaScript, just use JavaScript. But it does mean that some things in TypeScript will be made a little bit easier.
Vocês entenderam, galera? Tudo bem? All right, Chris, I think that's the last one. Thank you so much again. And hope to see you soon in Brazil.
Have a great day, everyone.
Pessoal, uma salva de palmas para Chris Fritz. There you go, Chris. Thank you so much again, man. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you around.
Yeah, sure. Aí.